January 20th, 2009, a date that's now etched into the American story. On a freezing day in the nation's capital, you could almost feel history holding its breath. So what made this day so different? Why did nearly 2 million people pour into Washington, D.C., the largest crowd ever for an event like this, braving the icy chill of a winter morning? It was more than a ceremony. It was a pilgrimage. For a nation standing on a knife's edge, it was a search for a symbol, a voice, a promise that after a long, hard winter, spring was finally possible. To really get the weight of that day, we have to rewind the clock. The America of late 2008 was a country in the grip of a serious crisis. The economy was in freefall, a result of what President Obama himself would call greed and irresponsibility on the part of some, but also our collective failure to make hard choices. The headlines were just relentless: homes lost, jobs gone, businesses closing their doors. A financial meltdown, the worst since the Great Depression, had sent shockwaves through every town, leaving a sapping of confidence across our land. There was this nagging fear that America's best days were behind it, that the next generation would have to settle for less. On top of the economic turmoil, the nation was mired in 2 long, costly wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The country felt broken, its politics tangled in what Obama diagnosed as petty grievances and false promises, recriminations and worn-out dogmas. The optimism that had always felt so American seemed strained, almost gone. Could one person, in one moment, really start to mend a divided nation and offer hope to a people who desperately needed it? The son of a black father from Kenya and a white mother from Kansas, Barack Hussein Obama's own story was a symbol many were desperate to believe in. His campaign, built on a simple message of hope and change, had already struck a deep chord. Now the world was watching to see if that message could become a new reality. They came from everywhere. In the dark, before dawn, a great migration was happening. People arrived by bus, by train, by car, and on foot, a river of humanity flowing into the heart of the capital. Public transit was stretched to its breaking point, but the mood was electric, full of shared purpose. The official crowd estimate would land at a record-shattering 1.8 million people. They packed the entire National Mall, a sea of faces stretching from the Capitol steps, past the towering Washington Monument, all the way to the Lincoln Memorial. And this wasn't just any crowd. It was a living, breathing picture of the nation Obama so often talked about, a patchwork heritage, as he'd say in his speech. People of every race and faith stood shoulder to shoulder in the biting cold, their breath hanging in the air. There were people who had marched with Dr. King, who had seen the worst of segregation, now standing with tears streaming down their faces, seeing something they never thought possible. There were young people, fired up by a new kind of politics, who saw a future they wanted to build. It was a gathering that perfectly reflected the day's theme: a new birth of freedom. That phrase was borrowed directly from Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, a nod to the 200th anniversary of his birth. The symbolism here was powerful. A nation once ripped apart by slavery was about to inaugurate its first African-American president, who would take his oath on the very same Bible Lincoln used for his own inauguration back in 1861. Just before noon, the moment came. With his wife Michelle holding the Lincoln Bible, Barack Obama stood before Chief Justice John G. Roberts. In the chilly air, a small stumble over the 35 words of the oath created a moment of unexpected, relatable humanity. Just to be absolutely sure everything was constitutionally sound, the oath was quietly done again the next day at the White House, a tiny footnote on a giant moment in history. But there on the Capitol steps, with the oath complete, the 44th presidency had begun. Then he turned to face the millions of people and the waiting world. But when he turned to speak, he didn't give the crowd a collection of easy sound bites. His inaugural address was a sober, direct, and honest talk with the American people. That we are in the midst of crisis is now well understood, he started, getting straight to the point. He listed the challenges: the weak economy, the cost of health care, the failing schools, the wars. But then he shifted from that stark reality to a call for renewal. "Today I say to you," he declared, his voice carrying across the mall, "that the challenges we face are real. They are serious and they are many. They will not be met easily or in a short span of time, but know this, America, they will be met." That was the core promise. He called for an end to the bitter politics of the past, saying, "The time has come to set aside childish things." He talked about a new era of responsibility, a duty we have to ourselves, our nation, and the world. The speech was a call to action, grounded not in blind optimism, but in the tough, resilient spirit of the American people. He reminded everyone that greatness is never given. It has to be earned by the risk-takers, the doers, the makers of things. He chose unity over division, and in one of the day's defining lines, captured the feeling that brought everyone there. "On this day we gather because we have chosen hope over fear, unity of purpose over conflict and discord." As his final words, "God bless the United States of America," echoed, a sound erupted from the crowd. It was more than applause. It was a roar of joy, of cheering, of pure relief. It was the sound of a country exhaling all at once. Across the mall, strangers were hugging. Tears were flowing, not from sadness, but from a deep, history-making joy. For so many, this was the peak of a long, difficult climb, a testament to the struggles of past generations and a beacon of hope for the next. The theme, a new birth of freedom, felt real in that moment. It was a clear line back to Lincoln's own hope that the Civil War would lead to a renewal of the nation's founding promises. On the world stage, Obama's speech also signaled a new path, one based on mutual interest and mutual respect. He reached out to the Muslim world, seeking a new way forward, and celebrated America's own diversity as a strength, calling the nation one of Christians and Muslims, Jews and Hindus and non-believers. It was the first time a president had ever acknowledged non-believers in an inaugural address, a small but powerful detail that drove home his message of inclusion. The rest of the day was a blur of tradition and celebration, from the parade down Pennsylvania Avenue to the 10 official inaugural balls that night. But the heart of the day, the memory burned into the nation's mind, was that moment. The oath and the speech, a promise of renewal delivered on a cold winter's day. That day in 2009 was an incredible moment in modern history. So, what about you? Do you remember where you were when you watched it? What did that moment mean to you? Share your memories in the comments below. And if you enjoy these explorations of historic moments, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. The inauguration of Barack Obama wasn't just a political event, it became a cultural landmark. It was a day when millions of people just wanted to be there, to witness it, to feel like they were a part of the story. It was a moment dripping with symbolism. The first black president taking the oath on Lincoln's Bible, a theme of rebirth echoing the Gettysburg Address, and a message of hope delivered to a nation that was hungry for it. The challenges he laid out were very real, and the road ahead would be tough. That incredible feeling of unity on the mall would soon crash into the hard realities of governing a divided country. But the legacy of that day isn't just measured in policies or political wins. Its power is in what it stood for, a stunning symbol of progress and change. It was a powerful defense of the God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. For one frozen, sun-drenched day in January, the world saw the power of an idea, that a nation, in its time of crisis, could choose to bet on hope. It was a reminder that the American journey has never been for the faint-hearted, but for those who, with eyes on the horizon, carry that great gift of freedom forward and deliver it safely to the next generation.